Well, well, well.
Well.
We are ahead of schedule. It's not Monday morning.
Surprise.
It is Sunday afternoon.
Yep. And
July 6th.
Yeah.
It's the date.
We've had an interesting weekend.
Have we? I feel like it's always interesting.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
What's so interesting for you?
I don't know. Watching you on your deathbed essentially yesterday.
You guys. I may have OD'd on magnesium.
Accidentally.
I didn't know that was a thing. I learned a lot, and I will never make that mistake again because I'm still not 100%.
Yesterday I did role play as a nurse for a hot minute, and that was something.
I low-key liked it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
a little
same.
too much.
Anyway.
Yeah, so you got a comment.
I got a personal message on Instagram from one of our listeners. Last time we talked last week about the Queer Ultimatum and kind of where we were at with watching the show. We had not finished it at that point. We were kind of like right halfway through maybe. And we have big opinions about a lot of stuff, but we finished the show, including the reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now we have even bigger opinions about a lot of stuff, along with a lot of people have opinions about the show.
Yeah, and if you have opinions, share them with us. DM us, because I don't know. I just think it's good conversation. I think it helps the community learn and grow and see the possibilities of the dynamics of relationships in a queer space.
Yeah. So in the message that I got, they were requesting that we talk about kind of where we're at with it now that we've completed the season. If any of our views or opinions changed, and so here we are. We're gonna dive right into that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can I just say something first before we start?
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else feels this way, and I thought about making my own video about this, and I might. I feel like the show made me fall in love with you a little bit more. As weird as that may sound.
No, I don't think it's weird at all. I think it shows you to be thankful for the work that we've put in. I don't want to say it's luck, it takes work.
Yeah.
Well, we got lucky to have
found each other.
Found each other the way we did. It's not just luck. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Intention. It's a lot of intention.
Yeah, I think knowing how toxic some of those relationships can be.
So tell me, how did you fall in love with me a little bit more?
And multiple ways. I think seeing how bad it could have been opens your eyes to how good it is. And it's not that I didn't see that before. I know how good our relationship is. It's just, it's like this warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that it's not me, that I don't have to be talked to a certain way, manipulated a certain way, put in a situation, knowing that you would never intentionally put me in situations like that. I don't know, just a lot of things that run through my mind of damn, I do feel like I did get, I hate to say it, but I did get lucky finding you as early as I did. And I didn't have to go through all of the shit. And I think for me specifically too, being only 33 years old, I'm closer to those girls' age than I am to yours. So I oftentimes think about where I'm at mentally and within our relationship versus people those girls are only 2-3 years younger than me. And it's wild to see how they behave and how they treat their person that they say that they love versus how I could never do that. And I guess it just makes me realize how much more mature I am than a lot of people my age, maybe, or just in a different place.
I think everything kind of chalks up to experience. You've experienced more at a younger age by becoming a mother by the age of 18, being in long-term relationships and working as basically a married couple, even when you weren't physically, on paper married to the people you were with, and then actually being in a marriage and raising a family and learning to be selfless. And I think from the angle of well, they're young and they haven't experienced all of that yet. Their biggest commitment is their dog, right? And which is a big commitment. But in the bigger picture of like, you're just, even though you can match up with their age, you are much more seasoned in that realm of an experience to say, I'm way further off on an emotional maturity level than these other people are.
Yeah. I'm glad that I didn't meet someone my age instead. Like, we'll just put it that way. Like, trying to put myself in the shoes of talking to somebody my age gives me an ick.
I think also something that helps us is that we do have our history of being with men. We don't have a history to compare to being with other women, or other, lesbian or queer people. Right. We don't have that comparison. And I think for us, knowing what we were giving and what we were receiving in our straight relationships, I think that only works in our favor now in a queer relationship, in a lesbian relationship, because we're able to look back and say, like, I wanted the romance. Like, I wanted to be romanced, and nobody was dating me. I wanted to be fucking dated, right? And so I think because we don't have gender roles in our relationship, we're both able to step in and say, I'm going to initiate. I want to be dated. I want to be romanced, but I also want to be the person doing that too. And so it's just like, we're just constantly in this state of always giving and like wanting to level up the next one or just make it special when we can. And I think that comes from being deprived in the straight relationships we were in. And I don't know, I can't compare that to, I've never dated another woman before. You're the first woman I've ever dated, so I don't have anything to compare that to.
Yeah. I think one thing about the show that was eye-opening to me too is that as I came out at an older age, in my 30s or whatever, a lot of people that may have said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, you were total, I knew you were gay, I knew you were this. My mind always went to like, when I heard people say that about you or me or anyone else, it was like, what was it? Like physical something? Was it the way that you walked? Was it this? Was it that? And since hearing so many people talk about the show, I think a lot of it too, in the lesbian community, lesbians want more of like the emotional side of things. You see where I'm going with it? Like it's when people say like, I knew I was a lesbian or I knew you were a lesbian, it's not all about like the physical outer appearance, but more so like, how do you want to be loved? Like, great example, we kind of talked about Ashley on the show being not really that vibe. Like most lesbians do want a very honeymoon phase, forever, sweet, affectionate, sensual, romantic love. And
with Ashley, my perception was she strikes me as someone who is asexual, who and or straight, kind of maybe straight or not fully breaking through what it takes to experience a queer, lesbian,
what it takes to be with a woman, right,
relationship. Because I feel like watching her, even just her gestures of just like her partner's crying hysterically and all she can do is place her hand, barely place her hand, or like fidgeting and feeling so uncomfortable in her skin, whether it was directly based upon her not vibing with her partner, or the fact that like she's on a journey that she doesn't even realize yet, because she's not feeling comfortable and safe and secure in her own presence and her own skin.
Yeah, she's got stuff to figure out for sure. A great example is like when you left earlier to run a 10-minute errand and I was like, can I have a kiss before you go? And you came and like really kissed me goodbye. In the show, when there's
multiple couples in the show,
when they're having these deep, hard conversations, like one of them is like crying and she's like, can I have a kiss? And she's like this. And like pulls away. And I was like, no passion.
What the fuck is that?
No time spent, no thought behind it, no, like they didn't even touch during, like, and it just runs through my head of like, if I were in that state of mind where I was just so broken, regardless of the reason, and you were to come up and like fucking peck me like that, I'd be like, that's it, I'm out.
Do you think?
I'm fucking out.
Do you think there's any like? Now these people are not like, as far as I know, they're not trained talent actresses, right? So, do you think maybe it was just like having a bunch of cameras and lights and like the whole kit and caboodle of like a staged environment to where it just made them kind of
standoffish,
more more closed off, like you're like there's a whole fucking room of people on the other side. It's like maybe they're doing multiple retakes or something. I have no idea what it's like on the other. I mean, I have an idea from being in film type of situations, but like, what the fuck?
I'm sure they go through things on the other side that we'd be surprised about. However, I think if you agreed to be on the show, you should be comfortable enough in front of a camera that you can love your person comfortably. And if you can't, that would be a problem.
Because you also have to remember, like,
it's just like
everybody's watching this. Like, is that like the bare minimum? Is that the level you want to show yourself, even if you weren't to stay with the person you showed up with? Is that like
is that the bar
that's
you're
the first impression?
Yourself?
That is like basically
right.
my first impression of you, where I'm like, Ashley, bro, like what's going on? Like, what's going on up there? You're not saying much. You're not getting much airtime because you don't even have any drama to bring to the reality show that they're looking for. So you're not getting the airtime. And when you do, it is so surface of like the first time when you're in the 4th grade and you hold somebody's hand for the first time and you're like, this is a lot. Like, I all I can think is like, you've not experienced true romance, but you have a partner who's begging for it. She gets so fucking excited that her trial partner gave her a fork. And she was like, oh my God,
you handed me
my fork. Nobody's ever done anything like this for me before. What?
I saw a video earlier, a couple creators that we enjoy following, I can't remember their names right now, but they were doing this video where it was like, is this considered bare minimum or princess treatment? And they were listing off all of these different things, and they were like back rubs before bed, and it was like bare minimum. Like, lesbians, a back rub before bed, that's bare minimum for us.
Yeah.
I feel like for Ashley, that would be asking like the world of her to be like, can you rub my back before bed?
The funny thing is like, there's multiple thoughts where it's like, I look at the clock and I'm like, holy fuck, it's 8:00. Like, did we miss our window at 8:00? Because like in lesbian like timing, like in the beginning of like getting to know somebody, that's like speed light, right? Like 3 days and you're like engaged. But like in the bedroom, like it's like hours, right? And so you have to like I look at the clock and I'm like, all right, like I gotta work in the morning. And not that I'm like pushing it off, but I'm like playing it through my mind. I'm like, okay, like I have to be prepared for at least 2+ hours sometimes, right? Because it's like a back rub is the bare minimum.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's not even sexual alone either. That's like, I think about that even when it comes down to last night when we finally got all intertwined in our little cuddle sesh. What did I tell you? I was like, this is my favorite part of the day.
Yeah.
And that's the part of it that's like, there's so much more passion behind everything that a lesbian does. I don't see any passion behind even the words that come out of Ashley's mouth. Yeah. She's just very like, meh.
Yeah.
Like, eh.
Yeah. And then, what's her partner's name? Marita? She's starving, you guys. She is starving for affection. She is starving for romance. And a honeymoon phase of
a forever honeymoon phase, which I can relate to.
And some people are saying she's asking too much.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying she's asking too much. I think that's crazy. I think that if you have your standards of I want to be actively in love and showing love, that is not too much, and you need to find somebody that can match you or even possibly one-up you in that so that you have that push-pull. But I don't know. I think in general, as a whole picture, the show itself is still very much so an ick to me. Even with the reunion, even with all of everybody's comeback moment, and like the entire idea of what they did to themselves and their partners is not okay. It's not healthy. It didn't actually help anyone in the show.
No, it didn't.
Not in my opinion, anyway. And I know a lot of the couples did end up together and are still together to this day.
But does that say something about the queer, like, lesbian, like, community of, like, the fact that it can get so toxic that is kind of grounds for, like, yeah, that happened, but, like, we're still together. We're still together, or we're still friends, or we're still gonna keep,
I don't know. I think that's all communities, honestly. I think that's a person-to-person type situation. It doesn't matter what kind of sexuality you prefer at that rate. I think it's all about, like, what do you view your self-worth at? Are you okay with getting back with somebody who quite literally fell in love with someone else within 3 weeks? I mean, if you are, then that shows how much, like, how highly you think of yourself. What do you think you deserve? Yeah. Because I'm sorry, I don't deserve somebody that can go and fall in love with someone else in 3 weeks. I just don't. And I don't think anybody else should lower their standards to that level and just be like, you know what, I'm going to think about the future now and just forget that ever happened. Yeah, right. How many times during intimacy in the future are you going to have a moment of, did you do this with her too? Did you tell these things to her too? Did you, like, that's going to fuck with you forever, whether you want to pretend like it is or not. We're human.
So I know we have, like, a whole list of topics that we're going to go through more on a YouTube series. So you guys,
we're going to dive deper into little things that happen in the show.
We have so many points to hit, topics that we want to discuss. We're not going to get all into it right now, but I do want to talk a little bit about just, is, like, you were just talking about, like, getting past somebody who's had, like, a sexual experience or emotional. What do you think is worse, the emotional connection or the intimate physical connection? Which one are you saying, like, if you were to have to pick and choose, or, like, are both of them out of the question in a trial marriage? Obviously, like, if we're in a situation and that's happening, that's cheating.
That's cheating.
This is like, but because of the show and this and the idea around the show of like you having like a trial marriage, what was on the table and what wasn't on the table?
For me, nothing would have been on the table. I feel the most connected to how Marie handled everything. She was so...
Because you would cut a bitch.
Yes.
You would cut a bitch.
Take away the crazy eyes and Marie is me, because I would not have the patience for any of it. Now, I understand the question is if we were in that position, so let's just pretend for a second. I think I would rather you find some kind of platonic emotional connection to someone that could be a forever friend that you could learn from and grow with and potentially even become like a group of friends.
So
with
kind
all
of like
us.
A Brittany and a Marita.
Correct, exactly, like that. Or even kind of in a roundabout way, AJ and Marie, how they kind of didn't really go exactly perfectly, but they were able to like be there for each other in a more emotional way and like have deep conversations. And I think you can grow to love someone in that capacity without it turning into a sexual something that you can't turn around from. Once it passes the physical part of it, and I don't give a flying fuck how you define sex as a lesbian, there's that, I mean, we're not fucking stupid. Right. You don't have to insert anything into anyone else's body to hook up with someone else, and you can't make it okay by saying that there are different levels just because like we don't have a penis. That whole thing was just
threshold
like,
was not I wasn't like really following that, like, yeah, there's things that count and things that don't count is basically what they were saying.
Right. I think for me too, knowing you the way that I do, and that it takes you an emotional connection with someone to have a physical connection with someone for the most part in your history of your life. If you were to dive right into a physical connection with someone that quickly, I would never be able to get past it. Like, it would always be in the front of my mind, and I would never look at you the same, unfortunately. Like, that's where I am at with it. Now, if I knew you sat down and you had a really deep, you know, emotional, hardcore conversation that lasted forever, awesome. If that helped you grow and see from a different point of view, and maybe you're like, holy shit, I love this person because they helped me understand a part of me, I'd rather that.
Right.
All day, every day.
Right. Because there can still be boundaries. There can still be respect for not just, you know, the individual, but the person that they showed up with to give the ultimatum to, or to, they received the ultimatum from. So yeah, I think for me, I would say the same. Now, because I am, what is that called, like a demi, like I need the emotional connection to be able to be physical with somebody.
Demigorgon.
Is that what it's called?
No.
I was like, wait, that's like from Stranger Things. Come on. No, but like demisexual, I think is what it's called. What it is,
yeah.
I need an emotional connection, and so I connected hard with Megan
in the beginning. Same.
Because she is not surface. She dives deep. She wants to feel it, and I'm very much that way. Like, I have observed, like, the connections that I make with people are always on a very deep level. And I respect that. But I look at Megan differently now after watching the whole show through, and I feel that she love bombs and she manipulates people the same as like she's manipulating in a way that Dana does, but just in a different like need. Like, people need that emotional connection, and like not everybody has it on that deep of a level, and when you do, you can really rope somebody in quick.
Yeah.
And I watched her do that with multiple people in the show.
Yep. And I guess that is the dangerous part of saying that I would prefer the emotional side, because then you do open the doors to the emotional connection, which then, allows for the next step. But still, if I had to choose, that would be the one that I would choose.
Yeah. I don't want you to have either. We're just going to say that. I don't want you to have either. I think that, I don't know, selfishly, if you were having an emotional connection with somebody, I would feel that they're filling a void or something that I wasn't capable of showing up for. So I think my ego would be hurt a little bit on that, because I am very much connected to you emotionally. I think from a physical POV, I could try to erase that more, I think, than the emotional connection, because I feel like the emotional connection goes a lot further than a physical connection. A physical connection can be like a one and done situation, but an emotional connection is something that you need.
Yeah, but do you feel like if there were a physical connection in any way, you could truly get past that in our relationship moving forward?
If we were going on the show and that was the purpose of like a possibility of something happening, I would just have to know up front, like, we would have to have those boundaries set. And I'm curious if some of the couples had those boundaries set, because like I feel like, knowing us, we would talk it through and we would be like, what's on the table and what's off the table. And like, I feel like Maria and Mel kind of probably had that conversation up front, and that's why Maria was so pissed when she said, did you people are saying they have evidence of you fucking Dana. Did you? And if you didn't, I have your fucking back. But if you did, tell me.
Yeah.
Give her the fact that she couldn't say it.
Yeah. And I think that's why I connected with Marie in that way, was that like, yeah, she laid it all out there, and she gave so many opportunity to just be honest, and that's all she wanted, was just be honest with me.
If I had to pick your character from the show,
I know who I would pick for myself. This is great.
Okay, this is cool, because I have a mix of characters for you. You're not just one character.
Interesting.
But then after we do this, I want to hop over to the YouTube side of things, because I have things I want to say, and I want to dive deeper into that.
Okay.
I would say you are a really good mix of Haley and Maria.
I knew it.
Haley and Maria.
I think her name is Marie.
Is it Marie? Okay, Marie. So. Haley and Marie, you're a good mix. Because you have like the emotional intelligence and safety and security blanket of Haley. And then you have the ride or die, I will fuck a bitch up if she gets in my way. And I will do everything in my power to make this work, and I will put all my effort into whatever is right in front of me and nothing more.
Yeah.
Those are your two characters.
Yeah.
Now, what are mine?
What are mine? Yours aren't that different. I feel like you also hold those same standards that Marie holds. You might not show you're crazy as much as Marie and I do, but you do have some crazy. You hide it better, but I know. And
I want to know more about this crazy now, but okay, keep going.
You have a little crazy in you, and yeah. So you're a little.
I do.
You're a little bit of
know
Marie.
I know that.
I think you're a tiny sprinkle, and don't take this offensively, I think you're a tiny sprinkle of Pilar, only because she's so committed and still forgave Haley for all of the things and still wanted to work on everything despite all of the stuff. Mm-hmm. Very, very committed in that way. But most of all, out of everybody, you're Megan a little bit. Mm-hmm. You're very much so Megan without the two-faced bullshit at the end. You're Megan in the beginning of the show, where she's
Megan when she's with Haley.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Because that was Megan's most truest, authentic self when she got away from Dana. Yes. And I was listening to this.
I think if we both had to put ourselves in someone, we would be Megan and Haley without all of the other bullshit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, their relationship 100%. In the beginning of the show reminded me of. It was very
healthy. There was authentic. There was very there was a lot of moments for just like calmness. Mm-hmm. It wasn't these like high peaks of like let's dive into this heavy dramatic situation.
But then it was playful too. And, like Megan seems very, that's one thing that reminded me of you a lot in those first few episodes was her silly like outbursts of like, you could tell she made Haley laugh a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's us. You make me laugh all the time. Mm-hmm.
And like the cuddling and just like like the deeper conversations when they're having dinner, they're not just eating their food and like looking down or talking about somebody else. They're talking about their experiences that they want to achieve in their future. And that's, you know, we 100% do that all constantly and are looking for areas to just grow and evolve and discover ourselves even more. And I think those are two people that when put in a safe space will thrive when they get back with their partners who, you know, for Megan with Dana, she's going to revert right back to doing whatever the fuck Dana tells her to do.
Yeah. And it's actually a little bit sad.
Yeah. It's disappointing. It's disappointing to see that growth in somebody. And I hope that Megan can watch the show and look back at that and say, you know what, Dana, I need to take a break. Like I need to live on my own. I need to be away from you and let my like nervous system heal from all of the fucking damage that you've done to me.
Yeah. And I think if you're in a position where you feel as though you have to hide or lie from the truth of what you're feeling that you've openly admitted to purely because of the person that you're with, there's a problem there. For her to completely lie about how she was feeling about Haley simply because now she was having to make Dana happy and say the things that made her happy, that's icky to me. That's a form of abuse in a relationship, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Now, full disclosure, I know the show was there's a lot to the show that we didn't see. I'm sure that if we had all of the insight, our opinions would change. This is obviously just based off of what we saw.
Just based off of how it was put together. Portrayed. From Netflix POV.
Which really. They do it on purpose. They make us go crazy.
But whatever. All right, well, we're going to dive deeper right now and on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, talk about the real stuff.
The real.